Previously, don't talk that talk.
All right. So boom, I'm stealing these words from one of my frat bros. Um, you can have positive intent with something and still do it wrong. And I think that's what we miss. And somebody's gonna and before someone argues, what do you mean is wrong? I'm not gonna come up here and say that community bands are wrong because I perform in a community band. I've been in a community band that was marching band, crank up, and I'm in a community band that is, the retirement home for people who were classically trained. Um, I want to bring it up. The difference is in regulation. Everybody always brings up the word fun, but nobody brings up the words that keep you out of jail. Regulation, accountability. And I don't care what organization is and how much fun you have in it. Where there's no accountability or no regulation, you run the risk of that programming turning into something dangerous. And we all know that. Brother brought up soccer. Yeah, but soccer has rules. As fun as it is, soccer has rules. Basketball has rules. Even if you play street ball, you can't be on the court just doing anything. There's still unwritten rules to playing street ball. So when people say, well, this is just fun, I think why educators come at it so hard is because our whole livelihood revolves around if you don't follow a rule or regulation, that's the end of your career. And I'm going to speak a little bit from experience. Used to help run a community band. And I know somebody gonna say, y'all in the DMV, y'all know what y'all talking about. No, we ran one that was successful in the sense that if this was a market catering to people cranking up, getting together, having fun doing it, it was successful. The band traveled, we went to Atlanta, and people was like, y'all from Baltimore? And it was a couple different HBCUs represented. And we started bringing in young kids, high schoolers, to show them the culture that they quote unquote might not get until college here. Because to say that there's no band culture somewhere sometimes it's not entirely true. It just may not be the type of band that you are used to. Um, I've said it before, core style reigns supreme where I'm from. They have a whole circuit that's competitive. That's not a lack of culture. It's just not the culture that you identify with. So I'm gonna set that straight. Um, what you're saying, be specific when you say there's no culture, because every school in my district has a band, starting sixth grade all the way to 12th grade. And there ain't too many all black districts that can say band exists from sixth grade to 12th grade. That's my little rant.
But
But
Chris, you know what's crazy though, Chris? They think because we marched in the MEAC, we don't know what we talking about. Like I saw that so many times. Oh, you just don't understand the culture. I marched in Norfolk State Band. You marched in Morgan State's band. We marched in the same type of HBCU that y'all marched in. The only difference is location. But my thing is this: like, Krista, you're at Midwest. One
You
of
ain't got no
these
swag house.
Right. One of these retirement home bands that you were talking about is about to tear the house down in Midwest. The Dallas Winds. They about to knock the house down. They're premiering a piece by Frank Kelly. They're about to play Come Sunday by Omar Thomas, which I just did on my recital. Like that group, but what is the difference there? There is a standard. And that's what I've been saying this whole time. Everybody just
you
wants to
know, you know, Rick, I stopped getting in an argument about a standard a long time ago. Because when you talk about standards, you're talking about really people's preference. People use that word standard incorrectly. Standard, in most cases, they're really saying preference. I prefer this. And sometimes what we decide preference means that something else is wrong. I didn't get what you said as meaning something is wrong. I think um I'll say worded maybe not in the best way. And I can say that to you because you're a brother and I love you, and we both doing essentially the same thing, trying to bring awareness to something that has in some cases died. I don't care what kind of band it is. You go across the country, you come to Chicago on the wrong side of the tracks, quote unquote, there are no more bands. Don't matter what kind of kazoo band, it don't exist. So anybody trying to put some horns in some kids' hands that look like me, they're for the culture, period. So stop using that word for the culture if you don't mean that for everything. If you just talking about your preference, you don't really mean culture. You just mean your preference. Um,
But
But
I agree with you, Crystal, on that. But like standards is can be considered preference, but there's a difference between preference and what makes music, right? So
regulation.
right, you click on one of those videos, any video. I'm not going to call out any particular group. I'm happy that these kids want to do what we do, right? But you click on one of those videos. Standards is if a student's going to play their horn, then make sure that you at least spend some time tuning. So there, because tuning actually makes you louder. When the overtone series speaks correctly, it will make your band louder. But we're not having those conversations. That's a standard that when
Well,
you're in this room, you're going to be able to play I'm going to at least teach you how to play a concert F straight up and down on a tuner. That's a
so
standard I'm talking about.
so here's a truth that people don't want to admit to themselves. Instead of trying to defend stuff, sometimes the answer is you just don't want to do that. And that's just, I mean, if somebody say, why don't you do this, and this, and I start giving a whole bunch of reasons why I don't do it, but really deep down inside, I just don't feel like taking the time to it. A lot of people have said that this is their fun thing to do, and I completely get it. But here's why it's dangerous to use that as your excuse to do whatever you want to do. Because the world the world in general has regulations and rules. And your fun, at the end of the day, if it breaks a regulation or rule, you can't go in the court of law with like, I was just having fun. Now, how many people have killed somebody because they was just having fun? How many people been hurt just having fun? You can end up messing up somebody's life because your standard of fun and their standard of fun don't match up, and your standard of fun might err on the line of you about to go to jail. Educators have to take classes to know what that is. I'm telling y'all, pet peeve when somebody try to argue with me like, no, your principal can't tell you what to do. You dumb. You whole dumb. That's like saying your boss can't tell you what to do. You're right. You can choose not to listen, but just know that that consequence might be you don't have no job there because you signed up for the rules and regulations, whether you voluntarily did it or just by the societal norms behind it. When you interrupt, when you bring kids into something, you're not signing up by your standard of operation. You're signing up to the standard of operation by whatever governs you. And that's the law. So I don't care if you're having fun. All it takes is one complaint. It only you have to be something true. It just takes a complaint. We ran
Mhm.
a positive organization until kids were brought in and adults wanted to still adult around kids. And even worse, when adults wanted to adult with kids. And it ruined the potential of all those things that some people said. And you say, well, yeah, I just look past it. But as a mother, I ain't gonna look past you looking at some little dancer girl, who's half your age. I won't look past that. And if some of the people who complaining or have something to say, you wouldn't look past it if it was your own. Stop lying. You lying to yourself. If it was your daughter, if it was your nephew, your niece, you wouldn't look past it. Not unless you don't have any standards. Not unless you have no standard. So when we talk about, well, this is just fun, that's a dangerous word to use as a defense.